Hey y'all, Aniyah here, and welcome to the first ever episode of Drag Politics, where politics is a drag. So, I was never much into politics growing up. I guess I was just too busy with band and video games. But YouTube recommended me some of the Democratic National Convention speeches this past August of 2024, and I was actually very inspired by the speeches. I ended up binge watching a bunch of them, and I especially liked Michelle Obama's, Kamala Harris's, Doug Emhoff's, and Tim Walz's speeches. They filled me with a sense of patriotism and hope for the future like I had never felt before with politics. From that point on, I followed the Harris campaign on YouTube. I watched all of her speeches and interviews, and also those of Tim Walz and Doug Emhoff. It was really nice to see normal people talking sensibly and compassionately amidst the chaos coming from the other side. I did watch some of Trump and Vance's speeches as well, but it was hard to sit through hours of them talking about their personal grievances and listening to them insult people and spread lies and misinformation. You know, like the whole, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs fiasco, for example. I felt confident that the American voters would have an easy decision voting in Kamala, but I've come to the realization that most of Trump's voters saw him through the lens of right-wing propaganda networks like Fox and X, which only covered his most lucid moments, meanwhile only showing Kamala's most questionable moments, as opposed to the full speeches and interviews that I was seeking out online. If you followed the Democratic campaign at all, or even if you haven't, you've probably heard of Project 2025. I didn't think Trump would win, so I didn't think I'd ever have to read it, but here we are. In one of the worst case scenarios, Trump is in the White House with Republican control of all three branches of government. And I know I can't be the only one who's horrified about his bigoted executive orders and actions of his administration so far, like trying to end birthright citizenship and removing honorable military personnel from service just for being transgender. So I decided to make a series where I read Project 2025 and summarize it in various videos. That way we can understand it better and see how closely it aligns with Trump's second run in the Oval Office. It may also give us some insight into what's coming down the pipeline for the administration's agenda. Today I'm going to go over the basics. What is Project 2025? Who wrote it? And what relation do the creators have to the Trump administration? So, I'm starting with project2025.org on the About page. The website explains that Project 2025 builds on 4 pillars: a policy agenda, personnel, training, and a 180-day playbook. In this YouTube series, we're going to be going over the policy agenda. The policy agenda is a book titled Mandate for Leadership, The Conservative Promise, with the subtitle Project 2025, Presidential Transition Project. This is the 920-page document that you may have heard talked about in the news or during speeches made by Democrats. You won't hear Republicans talk about it because they don't want to be explicitly tied to it. The website describes the project as follows, quote, "The project is the effort of a broad coalition of conservative organizations that have come together to ensure a successful administration begins in January 2025. With the right conservative policy recommendations and properly vetted and trained personnel to implement them, we will take back our government." The website further asserts that, quote, "Project 2025 is not partisan, nor is it secret. Project 2025 does not speak for any candidate or campaign in any capacity. It was stood up in 2022 before any major candidate announced a campaign to assist the next conservative president. So that means they consider themselves conservative, but not Republican." Interesting. Further down the page it states that, quote, "Project 2025's policy book is nothing new. Mandate for Leadership has been published regularly since the 1980s. In it, respected conservative authors espouse conservative policy ideas for incoming administrations to consider." Another notable piece on the About page on project2025.org reads as follows, quote, "The 2025 Presidential Transition Project is being organized by the Heritage Foundation and builds off Heritage's long-standing Mandate for Leadership, which has been highly influential for presidential administration since the Reagan era. Most recently, the Trump administration relied heavily on Heritage's mandate for policy guidance, embracing nearly 2/3 of Heritage's proposals within just 1 year in office." End quote. So here they're referencing Donald Trump's first term, and they show a picture of Donald Trump speaking at the Heritage Foundation's 2017 President's Club meeting. So who all wrote this book, and what exactly is the Heritage Foundation? Well, under the Policy Agenda tab on project2025.org, it states that there were hundreds of authors involved in the writing of the Mandate for Leadership. But when I look at the table of contents in the book itself, there are just 40 authors listed within 30 total chapters, which are divided into 5 sections. And looking through the names, the only name I recognize from the news right now is Russ Vought. He is credited with writing Chapter 2, which is titled Executive Office of the President of the United States, of Section 1, which is titled Taking the Reins of Government. But don't worry, y'all. We will take it one chapter at a time, and we can explore the backgrounds of the authors when we get to their respective chapters. For this video, I just want to focus on a broad overview of the project and its creators. Now, from looking at heritage.org, the Heritage Foundation is based in Washington, D.C., and describes itself as a think tank that spends each day developing innovative solutions to the issues that America faces. They then take these solutions, quote, directly to decision makers in government to turn ideas into action. And in case you're wondering what a think tank is exactly, Merriam-Webster.com defines a think tank as an institute, corporation, or group organized to study a particular subject, such as a policy issue or a scientific problem, and provide information, ideas, and advice. Some of the Heritage Foundation's other stated objectives are, quote, training the leaders of tomorrow who will lead America to a brighter future, and helping unite the conservatives around principles and ideas that strengthen their cause and the nation. The same page states that the Heritage Foundation consists of 500,000 members and also invites the reader to join the movement. So now we know a little bit about what Project 2025 is, and a little bit about the Heritage Foundation, who organized its creation. I hope this video was helpful, and on the next video we will dive into the introductory part of the book, which includes the foreword, which I remember Kamala Harris and Tim Walz linking to J.D. Vance during their campaign. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I also linked my other social media pages in the description of the video. Have a great day, y'all, and stay lovely. Bye.